Hear that? That is the sound of Anita Sarkeesian screaming several states away. Ah. Hello y'all, this is the Ninja DC, my 6th LACA video focusing on game system I've been capturing footage for my PS4. More specifically, the derogatory nickname has gained over the first year, the Indie Station 4. All I have to say is it's not a bad thing, in fact one of the PS4's greatest strengths going forward. For those of you not in the gaming loop, which currently seems to be most of my audience, sadly, the Indie Station 4 is an insulting nickname for the PS4 that has come from Sony's big push for indies since the PS4's announcement and release. Because indies are now bad. Okay, I know the main issue is the lack of AAA exclusives with seemingly a more focus on indies in their stead. On top of this, there is the also sub-issue of only indie games being released for PS4's free PS Plus game selection. But I'll address that in the end as it is again a sub-issue. First of all, the main issue. No, indie games are not taken away from Sony's first-party exclusive lineup. I really don't get where this comes from, as indie games are indie for a reason. Sure, Sony can help fund some indie games, but the amount would be comparable to a Kickstarter campaign. We're talking about $1 million-ish at most. The main benefit Sony provides is free advertising. Indies are currently getting more focus in Sony's own AAA first-party exclusives and devs, but that is because most of those devs are currently working on unnamed projects that are mid-production that can't exactly be shown off. Sony is using its indies to add some water to the desert that is the console's first-year lineup, which is typical for most consoles. Even the Xbox, where Microsoft went out of their way to get third parties making games for them, like they did with Sunset Overdrive, Killer Instinct, Dead Rising 3, Titanfall, Rise Son of Rome. Yeah, you get the idea. Indie games, being smaller and not hardware heavy, are able to jump in much easier than multi-million-dollar AAA dev teams, and therein lies Sony's genius. What defines a generation-dominating console is rarely who has the most true exclusives, but by who has the most games, period. Nintendo's first party is amazing and puts out a pretty decent amount of games, but it does little to prop up and fill in their third-party abyss. You have to create the illusion that there's always new games to be played on your system. This, in my opinion, is how Sony is going to continue to hold the lead for Microsoft in the coming years. Microsoft's recent policies, like the still enforced priority clause, is pushing away developers and publishers by putting unnecessary bureaucracy between them and consumers. Sony is going out of their way to draw in indie devs and free-to-play publishers, which means more games to fill in the production gaps. AAA games are extremely expensive and tedious to produce. Even a good production schedule of 6 first-party exclusive releases a year means a game every other month, and a game every other month you might not even like, just because of genre, not even going into quality. Third-party and indie games help fill in this gap and allow Sony to maintain the illusion of an endless release of games. Or put simply, Sony is able to hide their game droughts with indie games and free-to-play games support that Microsoft does not offer to the same degree. As for PS Plus, I would say just wait. The PS4 is not even a year old. There are simply not any old PS4 games in the AAA variety for publishers to allow on PS Plus yet. You'll start seeing them alongside indie games in the coming years. I personally don't mind the indie favoritism currently, as it has got me to try a lot of indie games I would never given a chance otherwise. Games like Velocity 2X or Fix a Cat. My only issue is that I, amongst others, live with is the constant fear that we'll buy a indie game one month and it will be free the next. Heck, I'm still holding off on Rogue Legacy for another month because of this fear. I feel Sony should offer a reward, say a bonus discount, if you have already owned this month's free games. Just something that encourages new buying and not just waiting. So yeah, I don't think Sony should be seen negatively for supporting any titles to fill in game droughts. The AAA exclusives are on their way. I've already pre-ordered Bloodborne for instance. In the meantime, I'm enjoying my indie games PS Plus gives me for free. Spelunky frustrations and all. Well, till next time, keep calm and an open mind.